Pramod is one of the... Ah, I'm white. Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. I was waiting for first move, which is difficult if you're playing with the white pieces. Pramod is really one of the most eager people when it comes to learning about chess, following chess tournaments and all that. And I find that quite amazing. It seems he's following every tournament and he knows a lot. He's watched a lot of the video series and he knows a lot. So I'm trying to play this line here and I hope he's not familiar with it. Bishop d2 is the other move. But it's pretty drawish. Knight b2 is also drawish, but there are some cliffs Black has to avoid. So I'm hoping he will fall into one of the traps I'm setting. I mean, no big traps right now. Black can take on e4, for example, or probably also play d5. I'm sure. I will just play a game of chess. That's all. I try out some new openings here. Why not? And he takes. And now I think d5 is interesting. Otherwise, Black will play d5 himself. Now the knight is attacked on c6 and can retreat to e7. Or Black could also take on d2. With the knight, with the bishop, many options. So he retreats, and now I'll just castle. And now the knight is hanging on e4, so he has to do something about it. And he takes with the bishop. And I'm happy to see this because that means I'll have the bishop pair. So don't take with my bishop right now because I don't want to give up my dark squared bishop, which doesn't have a counter player now anymore because Black has given up his dark squared bishop. So I take with the knight. And yes, I'm down a pawn, but I have more space. And I have a beautiful bishop. Oh, gorgeous bishop. Will come to c3 and maybe I can play queen d4 and checkmate on g7. Okay, it won't be that easy, but you get the idea, right? Alright, he plays d6. Now bishop c3 comes to mind. Rook e1, bishop b5 check. Ooh, bishop b5 check. Bishop d7, queen g4. Is this complete nonsense? Probably. Bishop takes b5, queen takes g7, bishop takes f1. That would have been beautiful though. That would have been beautiful, but doesn't quite work. And bishop c3, he just castles. Okay, let's play rook e1 for now. That feels like it can't be wrong. Get the rook on the open e-file. Okay, I'm expecting him to castle now, and then I'll probably go bishop c3. This is just where the bishop belongs. The bishop on c4, I probably have to place it to d3, because on c4, obviously, it's just biting the pawn on d5, not doing anything. So, gotta get it back to better diagonals, and d3 would be the right one. I'm curious what he plays now. It would make sense to develop the bishop, but then he can't play the knight to f5 anymore. I can go queen d4. And he would be forced to play f6, a move he doesn't want to play, I'm sure. So the alternative would be to play knight g6 or knight f5, but after knight g6, I can also go queen d4, forcing him to go f6. And like I said, I don't think that's a move he really wants to play. Because of knight e5, I can go f4, and the knight cannot move because of checkmate on g7. So knight e5 doesn't work. Queen f6 would be possible, but black is giving back the pawn, and his king structure will be shattered, so f6 is the only move that is left to be played. And that weakens the e6 square considerably and also limits the options of the black queen. Can't come out anymore, so I think I have great compensation then. After f6, what do I do? Maybe bishop d3. I want to go bishop d3 anyway. And I'm stopping bishop f5 from him, which is not too much of an issue anyway. But bishop d3 makes sense. Get the bishop on the better diagonal. If he goes knight e5, I'll just retreat to c2. I'm not planning to take on g6. That would not help my position much. I'll just continue to increase my space advantage. Maybe play f4, maybe play h4. I'm not quite sure yet how I'm going to do it, but something along these lines. Bishop d7. That makes sense. Do I have to watch out about c6 or c5? I should keep it in mind at least. I could also double on the e file. Or I could play rook e3, rook g3. Rook e3, rook g3. Is that just pseudo-active? No, pseudo-active, or is it anything good? That's the question. Well, let's find out. Rook e3 with two intentions, to either double on the e file or swing the rook over to g3 and ask some questions here. He plays rook e8. Now I go rook g3, asking my questions like I said. Now after knight e5, I can even go queen h4 maybe. And if knight takes d3, I have bishop takes f6. So I'm asking some more questions. I like to ask these questions. I really do. Yeah, knight e5, queen h4 looks good. Now I'm threatening to take on h7. Like I said, if he takes on d3, I can play bishop takes f6. Intermediate move. Always look out for his intermediate moves. What I see a lot in people starting out, that they always think automatically. I take a piece, he takes it back. I take a piece, he takes it back. But it doesn't work like that. In chess, you always need to check, does my opponent have other options? And here after knight takes d3, I'm not going to take back. I'll go bishop takes f6 and black is busted. Because this pawn is pinned, the queen is attacked, there's no back rank checkmate. And if the queen moves, I'll still not take back, I'll go for the king. I'll play rook takes g7 and queen takes h7 and three pieces are attacking. Two heavy pieces, queen and rook, the king can't defend that. So what can black do now? Not much. Either give the queen an f6 or play rook e7. But both moves are just hopeless, of course. Rook e7 I take, and then I take the knight on d3 finally. And I'm up a full rook. So this game over. So like I said, check for intermediate moves. Moves that don't take back your material, or always expect the unexpected, right? Of course, easy to say, more difficult to implement. What if he had played f5 instead of knight takes d3? Yeah, that would have been better. And then I would have just moved my queen back to d4. So if he takes, I play queen g5 check followed by queen g7 mate. If he plays king f7, I either go queen takes h7 or I repeat moves. Okay, or he resigns, that works as well. So in the opening, I think that here probably knight takes d2 would be better. But still, I also think that I have some compensation here, especially in the blitz game. You can definitely try that. And then the critical moment was right here. Probably f5 is the best. No, that was queen d4 followed by f4 also looks really difficult. But maybe black can somehow make it work. No. This is also lost. Well, here black still has rook e3. But I don't believe this stuff. It looks terrible. It looks terrible in many ways. So I think the whole position is difficult for black already.